Okay. Hey, everybody. This is Dan Reeser. I'm joined by Bette Chen and Ruitao Su. We're all from the Acala and Karura team. It's been quite the last couple weeks. I know everyone's excited about everything that's going on. We've been working hard, losing a little bit of sleep, but we've got a lot coming up that we're looking forward to telling you about today. We've also got Bette speaking at Polkadot Decoded tomorrow. So tonight, I guess tonight my time, kind of like a Polkadot Decoded pre-party. Looking forward to the next couple days that I know the Parity team has put a lot of work into for Polkadot Decoded. Let's start off with introductions. Maybe Bette, you can get us started, and then Ruitao, and then I'll jump into the agenda for the day.
Yeah, hi everyone. Bette here again. Saying hi from New Zealand, Auckland. It's 8 a.m. here. I'm sure everyone's from all over the place and all different time zones. So glad to be here answering questions and share a bit more on the auctions and crowd loans.
Okay, hi everyone here. This is Ruitao. I'm also in Auckland. I'm actually in office today. I think it's a shiny day today. Super excited to share more detail about our launch plan on Karura. We've been building on this product for almost 2 years. And finally, it's almost there, or almost. So excited to share more about how we get prepared to launch the Karura network on Kusama. And today I will be also share a little bit about the upcoming liquidity mining program that we have been planned, and to share that with the community earlier.
Cool. And I'm Dan Reeser. I'm working on growth for Acala and Karura. I'm based in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I'm going to get into a little bit about Kusama in general, and then how crowd loans work. I'm just going to do one slide. I'm sure many of you have seen some of the videos that we've done around the crowd loan process, and I don't want to bore everybody with that. But I'll at least, just not assuming everyone knows what exactly Kusama is and what crowd loans are, I'll just touch on that first, and then I'll pass it over to Bette. So this is the agenda. This is what I just mentioned. I'll start off. Bette will go into crowd loans and just the general Kusama process and what we're looking at. The roadmap for Karura. Ruitao mentioned he'll talk about the liquidity mining program, maybe a couple other things. Then I know, thanks to those of you who did submit questions on Slido beforehand, we have a lot of questions submitted, and if not, feel free to go in and actually, I'll paste the link here. You can go in and add questions or upvote questions that you see. You can also add questions here in Crowdcast under Ask a Question. In terms of timing for today, we're going to try to keep our part about 15, 20 minutes max, and then get into questions for the rest of the time. So let's start with Kusama. When I mention Kusama, I think usually you have to also mention Polkadot in the same breath. These two networks are both these multi-chain ecosystems that we're all excited that are about to start launching Parachains, which is kind of the ultimate vision of these networks. Kusama being the first, more experimental in nature, kind of wilder environment where we can, as Parachain teams, test out a lot of our new features or products before moving them to our Polkadot implementation, which will be Acala. Polkadot and Kusama, as you can see in the middle here, this dot is meant to represent a bridge. So these two networks will be bridged together. So Polkadot and Kusama will continue to operate and live together. And then on top of them, Acala and Karura will continue to operate and kind of live on in tandem. So if I were to boil Kusama down to maybe 6 key things, if a definition would be something like it's a connected network of specialized blockchains. So you can use Substrate to build custom blockchains for specific purposes, including DeFi in our case. And the network is what I'm kind of referring to recently as an innovation network. I know some people have called it a canary network. In essence, it's kind of like a place for people to kind of build and innovate. It's faster in that the governance process moves 4 times faster than Polkadot. So you can actually kind of ship code faster and test things out and iterate more quickly. It's a proof of stake network, just like Polkadot. So you can stake KSM, and I'm sure many of you are doing that. Developers love Kusama. I know Brian and our developers will love, what they can do in terms of flexibility and experimentation on Karura and Kusama. So that's one aspect. And then everything's operated with KSM, as I think many of you know. If you do have questions about Kusama, feel free to ask us at the end, where we'll spend some time answering your questions. But trying to keep it brief, I'll move it over to Bette. Oh, shoot, one more thing. So let's go into crowd loans real quick. Just to recap this. This is the full process of crowd loans. Currently, we haven't even started. So we're actually on the left side of the screen here. We're all waiting for the beginning of crowd loans and then the announcement for the start and end date of crowd loans, of Parachain auctions, sorry. Pretty soon, all these Parachain teams will be crowdsourcing KSM from their communities for us as a Parachain team to use as our bid in the auction against other Parachain teams, trying to get that first slot on Kusama, which is our goal. If Karura wins this first slot, then the native token KAR would be distributed to anyone who contributes to the crowd loan. And then at the same time, Karura would actually launch in that slot on Kusama's network. For all the KSM that was contributed to the crowd loan, we as the team never touched that. It's actually sent, I guess, locked in the Kusama relay chain itself. So the funds will actually be visible in your wallet if you're using Polkadot.js, I guess. But in your wallet, you'll still see your funds, but it'll just be locked for the duration of our 48-week slot. And then at the end, of course, the way crowd loans work is after 48 weeks, then the KSM is returned to all the original contributors. So hopefully that helps with just a recap of this process. So now, finally, I'll pass it over to Bette.
Thanks, Dan. Let me share my screen. All right.
There we go.
Okay. Let's go. Right.
Is it working for you, Dan?
She froze for me.
Okay.
I don't.
Maybe I will pin her.
Yeah,
to see if
you can
get
pin
on the
her.
mobile network. Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll start with her slides as she resets. Okay. So, sorry guys, we're gonna try to re-invite Bette, and while we do, I can get started on her slides. So just to kind of, some of you may have seen this before, but this is just to reiterate the fact that Karura is kind of building in this new category where we're building two things. We're building a layer 1 blockchain, which has specific DeFi components called primitives built into the chain. There's Bette.
Is it working now?
Sorry. Yeah, I lost connection. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yeah, you are back. You are back.
I'm back. Okay. Sorry about that. Let me try to share my screen again and see if that will work. All right. Okay. Is it working?
Yep.
Can you see my screen? Okay, great. All right. Where did we left at? Did you
just started this slide?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll carry on from there. I think a lot of people already know Acala and Karura, so I won't go into details. But basically, the key takeaway is if you're a KSM holder, right? And then if you want to play with some DeFi applications like lending, borrowing, trading, staking, and also earning various yields, Karura is the place to go. And then we also have an EVM that you can build various different interesting applications on top of it. And in fact, tomorrow or later today on Polkadot Decoded, I'm actually going to show a very cool demo demonstrating our EVM and also some of the cool U engines and etc. So yeah, so that's that for now. And then if you haven't tried our app, I think someone can share the app links in the chat, and you can go ahead and have a play, because it's very important that before you go into any auction, crowd loan, supporting any project, especially on Polkadot, because the time frame is long, it's at least 48 weeks to 2 years, you shall actually try the product and services and make sure, it's not going to be a rug pull. It's going to be there for long term to provide value for the entire ecosystem. So encourage you to do that. And then today we're mainly here to actually talk about the crowd loan and how the launch process happening. So if you haven't actually seen this on Gavin Wood's tweet, I might just like spend 2 minutes and walk through it. Basically, there's no time, there's no specific date time given when the launch will happen, but there are specific things that we need to complete. Well, the parity team needs to complete before we can all comfortably start the auction and then start our crowd loan. So I won't go into detail on this. I actually prepared a slide, so make things a little bit easier to see. So basically, we are at a stage of the parity team actually launching a parachain on Kusama, and that is a common good parachain, and that is called state mine. If you never heard, that's very simply just a asset chain where you can mint and burn assets. And there's projects like USDT already announced that they will actually launch on that chain to actually mint USDT to support the entire ecosystem. And I'm sure, down the track, once it's up and running, there will be more asset classes like that will be mint and produced and transfer across multiple chains on Polkadot as well as on Kusama. But the launch process of that actually goes like this. Right now, the team actually launched a shell chain. A shell chain is basically the state mine chain without any logic. It's just like a naked parachain that are being launched on Kusama. The whole point is to making sure the launch of the genesis, like start of the chain, is actually smooth and there's no issue when it connects to Kusama. And that is also a very important signal for us down here. So these are all the Parachain teams like Acala, like other Parachain teams. We have to know what's been launched and also what the code changes, any bug fixes, so we can make sure our launch will be smooth as well. And then after the shell chain launched, which is currently happening, already happened, the next thing to do is to upgrade it to a state mine chain, which is having the asset mint and burn. That's also important because upgrade is an important feature of Parachain, because at least for Acala or for Karura, we're going to launch a very like a shell chain as well, turn off all the functionalities, and then gradually upgrade to launch various DeFi protocols. And then after the shell chain has been running successfully, then it's probably a signal that we can start our crowd loan and be quite confident that if we win the auction, our parachain is going to launch successfully. And then I added this dotted box. This is something very new. So if you are here, then you hear this for the first time. Is we were told that there potentially will be a parachain launch trial for everyone that want to participate in the auction to test their parachain through the similar process as the shell chain on Kusama. So through that we should be a pretty high probability that to launch very successfully. But of course, expect chaos and there's no promises. And then after the test though, then I think we can quite comfortably start the crowd loan. And then I think also either on Decoded or maybe next few days, we don't know when, there will be an announcement of auction. the announcement will probably not announce that it's going to start directly. It's going to announce, happen in a few days' time. So the time frame is like there will be at least a 7-day gap between crowdloan, the start of the crowdloan and the start of the auction. The reason for that is, some people need to unbound at a certain point, so they have enough time to actually participate. But of course, it's still quite a rush, right? Because it's exactly probably just 7 days. And also, it also means there's no rush to jump into the crowdloan in the first second. Maybe the first day or two, anytime between the first day or 2 or 3 will be good, because we want to have all the support before we go into auction. Because once you go into auction, there will be a lot of uncertainty. If you are, if you're behind during the auction, you might lose. So we want to have put in our best effort before the auction happens. So that's the key message. There's no rush to get in the first second. You can still get your sleep and then wake up at any time to participate in the first few days. So yeah, so that's that. And then you guys, if that's not clear, you can ask questions and we can answer them later on. And then after that, this is the rough launch plan. And then I think we can also share the roadmap in the chat. I actually won't go through all of them because it's quite a bit of information. But I think the most important thing here is the process of it, right? So for those who are interested, should actually read this to see how we actually launch. So basically, we are at the point of thus the crowdloan referral program and pre-registration, and then we're waiting to start our crowdloan. And then as soon as we start our crowdloan, that's the time that you can actually put in your KSM and then participate. And then once the auction starts, there will be the horse racing and see which team actually wins the auction, and then we'll actually be able to launch. And there's a whole series of events that will happen in terms of how KR is being distributed, and then also how we actually turn on various different stages of governance. And then the most important thing that this will lead into Ruitao's talk is during our governance by council. So start with this POA, right? So it's just like admin key, but then the governance will become council led governance. This is the point where we will remove sudo. And then also turn on bridges, also turn on various DeFi protocols, one after another, because there will be many different pairs that we can actually turn on one after another and turn on the liquidity mining program, so that so folks will have many, I guess, playgrounds to play with. And then after DEX, there will be stablecoin and then also liquid staking as well. This might be a topic for another time. So we're going to enable a canary liquid staking because when we first launch, XCM is not 100% fully functional. So we'll probably have a semi-trustless version of the liquid KSM. So you can actually still stake through Karura and then also mint LKSM. The important thing is once you mint LKSM, that can actually be used to actually mint stablecoin and also do trading and also earn liquidity mining rewards, right? So so I will just leave you at that, and then you can actually read that afterwards. And right, and then what else? Okay, so this you might be interested in ways to participate. So obviously, this is a permissionless event, right? So you can make your own judgment on how you want to participate. But because Karura has a referral program, so we actually recommend the 3 ways that you can participate to earn rewards. But it's not compulsory. You can participate on Polkadot web app or other places that you feel comfortable with. So you can obviously participate on our website. There's links there that you can walk through the process very simply to participate, and then using Polkadot.js extension. And then there are also partnered exchanges like Kraken that has already been announced. And there's also partnered mobile wallets such as Polka Wallet. And I think Mass Wallet also announced last night they're going to support Karura as well. So we'll continue to add those partners as they become ready. Yeah, so everyone is in a rush. And rewards, this is mostly reiterating a lot of things that so I won't go into detail. So basically, nothing has changed. So KSM if you lock up 1 KSM, you get at least or minimum 12 KR rewards. If you use a referral code, you and the person who shared the referral code with you will both get additional 5% of the reward. And then I saw some question asking, we allocate, I actually answered that question in the next slide. What if there's too many KSM being locked? But just finishing off this, the lease period is 48 weeks. That's pretty much determined by Kusama council, right? So each slot is 6 weeks, and they are releasing 8 slots in total for each Parachain slot. So that's 48 weeks, the maximum that we can get. And then for all the rewards you get, 30% is transferable, the rest is vested. Now we go into the interesting bit, because we've allocated 10%, 11% for the rewards, right? So this is actually coming out of the community portion of our entire KR distribution. And then if you drill down into the community breakdown, you can see for the auction, liquidity mining, there's in the white paper, there's like 34%. We've actually allocated 10% like more to just in case there's too much interest. So what happened is so we allocated 10% for the first year, right? So if there were too much interest for KSM participated in the Karura crowdloan, we're gonna honor our promise of 1 KSM locked, and then you will get 12 KR as reward. And then the extra bits will probably just come out of allocations from this reward reserve, so that we can honor our promises for everyone who's participated. And of course, probably for the benefit of the entire ecosystem, I don't think it's going to happen, but just for the benefit of the whole Kusama ecosystem, we might put a cap for the entire crowdloan, so we don't drain up all the liquidity of KSM. I don't think that's going to happen, but just to be safe and for the benefit of everybody. I hope that's clear. And I think next, I'm actually going to hand over to Ruitao. I think that's all my slides. Yeah. All right. That's me.
Awesome. Thanks, Bette. Let me see if I can share my screen and share the liquidity mining program that we planned it for Karura. Is it working?
Yep.
Awesome. So let me present my screen. Okay, so in today I would like to share a little bit more insight on what we planned it for the Karura Network's liquidity mining program, and some of the avenue that you are able to receive incentive, receive reward for helping push up the network. There's some brief introduction already done by Dan and Bette about what Karura is, so I can safely skip these 2 slides to talk about what is Karura. But just keep in mind that Karura is a specialized blockchain with a set of built-in protocol built into it. So there's quite a number of avenues that we can provide incentive to promote the initial liquidity needed to make sure that it's a successful network of the launch of the network. So one key takeaway is that we are prepared to provide at least 19% of the total circulating supply on the first year to be mined. And this is an deflationary token economics. So we think this is quite a lucrative incentive to join and participate in the launch of the Karura network. It's 6% of the total supply, but since the network token economic design, only a handful of the token will be circulating and trading on the very first year. So to keep it simple, 19% of the token that will be released on the first year will be mined through the liquidity mining program. To provide liquidity mining, because Karura is a network with a set of built-in protocols, so we can provide incentive in a number of different protocols. So the DEX is obviously where we will be providing liquidity incentive for providing liquidity in the DEX. There's also the stablecoin, the KUSD minting, another avenue that the network can provide incentive for. The liquid KSM, LKSM minting could be another avenue that the network will provide incentive for. So Because this is a brand new network, this is actually likely going to one of the very first Parachain to go live on Kusama. So I think the key takeaway on the liquidity mining program is that we would like to stay agile and we would like to stay flexible. So the goal is to provide liquidity, to incentive to liquidity on where the most needed protocol. Let's say Karura goes live and we think more liquidity is needed on a particular trading pair on the DEX, then we will provide more liquidity rewards on that particular area to make sure there's enough liquidity to make sure that all the gear of the network is running smoothly. So the governance process will review and adjust every 2 weeks to achieve optimal liquidity and distribution for the whole network. So liquidity could be, there could be like more reward towards the DEX side if we think more liquidity is needed on the DEX, or there could be more reward on the liquid KSM minting if we think more liquid KSM is needed. So that's like, we like to stay very agile and to make sure that liquidity, it is liquid, right? Liquidity mining. So the other key takeaway of this liquidity mining program is that there should be no lockup. So some liquidity mining program will require you to lock some token for a certain amount of time, which is like very counterintuitive, right? You want liquidity, but you also want to lock up the token. In the liquidity program that we'll be planning to launch on Karura, there's almost no lockup, there's no lockup. So we want to make sure that the liquidity goes where it's needed most. So there's like 3 main category that where the network can provide incentive. One would be definitely the stablecoin. So minting KUSD might receive rewards. The other avenue is the decentralized exchange. So providing liquidity in the decentralized exchange will receive reward. The final avenue is the liquid KSM. So simply minting and earning reward on the KSM stake you might earn additional reward. These are the main category, and there's also subcategory inside all this main category that we will provide fine-tuned incentive for the liquidity needed. So one example being the DEX, right? So the DEX has many trading pairs. Actually, the very first trading pair that might go live is the KAR versus KSM trading pair. So by providing liquidity into the DEX, you will be receiving LP token, and you can stake LP token to start earning additional liquidity mining reward. By staking, it's like it's unlike lockup. You will simply signify that you would like to receive liquidity mining rewards by staking those tokens. You can stake and unstake anytime, and there's going to be different yield for different trading pairs, and we'll be deciding which trading pair is most needed in terms of like more liquidity. And one additional benefit of providing liquidity is that you can also provide KUSD, which is the stablecoin, the native stablecoin of Karura, to earn additional incentive, which will be covered in the second category here. So the second category of earning liquidity rewards is minting stablecoin. So to mint stablecoin, you can lock up collateral. You can make stablecoin by lock up KSM. You can lock up make stablecoin by lock up Bitcoin or Ethereum or any asset that will be available on Karura. And then by minting KUSD, you can already earning. If needed, you can already start to earn reward in KUSD, similar to like a saving rate. And if you provide liquidity, if you lock up those liquidity and provide KUSD liquidity in the DEX trading pair, then you will be receiving additional incentive for earning additional KR token. So that's another avenue that the traders can earn liquidity reward from. The final subcategory is the liquid KSM. So liquid KSM is very simple. So you simply mint liquid KSM and start to earning the standard staking reward for KSM. And on top of that, you will then start to earn the KAR distribution as a reward for providing early liquidity in the network. This incentive can also be as simple as minting KSM and then put it as collateral. There will be like potential incentive that we might seek through the governance process to provide additional reward for additional beneficial activity for the network as well. For example, we might provide additional incentive for cross-chain asset, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, And because like Karura is a specialized networks and launching on Kusama, there might be very fun inter-parachain campaign, for example, working with another parachain to provide incentive to promote economic activity between those two parachain. This is a topic I'd like to hint that this is possible. Well, we don't have anything planned for that yet, but this is definitely possible. And maybe the more fun way to play with the parachain inter-blockchain money Lego strategy. So those is essentially the stuff that we'd like to share about the liquidity mining program. So to recap, three main category: stablecoin, decentralized exchange, liquid KSM, and many subcategory that we will direct where the liquidity to the where most needed places. And stay flexible, stay agile, and no lockup. And I think to participate early is the best strategy to get into helping to bootstrap this network. So, yep, that's pretty much the slide that I would like to share.
Cool. So we're at exactly a half hour. So let's take the next, we can probably take the next 30 minutes to answer questions. We've got 43 here and 15 on Slido. So I'll share my screen and let's work through the Slido ones first, because those people spent the time to submit these beforehand. And I saw some people asking about impermanent loss. Just add that to the questions if you don't mind. So first, what happens if Karura raises enough KSM? Oh, Bette answered this. To go over the 12-to-1 number, will you close the crowd loan? Do you want to just reiterate that, Bette?
Yeah, so we allocated 11% for the crowd loan reward. And then if we got more than the KSM that we can allocate at 10%, we are actually going to allocate more KAR to reward those people, so to fulfill our promises. However, just so we don't drink up all the KSM, we're going to set probably a very high KSM cap for the entire crowd loan, just to make sure we're doing the right thing. Yeah.
Cool. How long will the crowd loan run?
So at least 7 days leading up to the auction, and then the auction will be a few days, maybe 5 days or something. So that's total 12 days. However, if you contribute during the auction, well, that may or may not help us, because once the auction start, it basically stops at random times. So although you will get your reward, but it may or may not help us. So you know, as Ruitao pointed out, the best strategy is to contribute before the auction starts. But you've got 7 days during the crowd loan, right? So still no rush, but contribute early.
And then in the case where, like, say, for example, there's a team, they try to win the first auction and they don't, then what happens to the KSM after that?
This is up to individual teams, how they set up their crowd loan. So all those parameters that we set, you know, the cap, and then the duration, some of them we know upfront, some of them you will know once we start the crowd loan. So specifically for the ending time of the crowd loan, we're probably going to set it to 6 weeks. So which means if we don't win the first auction, we won't just return your funds, right? Because you've gone through all the trouble and then participated. So we're going to bid for the second auction, continue to bid it until we win, or the 6 weeks is finished. And then if, you know, 6 weeks finished and then we still haven't won anything, all the funds will just return back to you. But don't think that's going to happen, right? You guys are going to make sure that we are able to distribute KR to you. So it's up to you. So.
Can you give the background on the brand name for Karura and how that was chosen?
Yeah, so that's quite funny. So Karura is the fiery bird, right? Is also the also one of the goddess in the Japanese Buddhism. So it's in line with the Acala goddess for stability. And then at the time when we chose the name, we didn't quite thought about Kusama as also a bird. So at the end of the day, I think everything, just all the stars lined up.
How do we participate in the crowd loan with a ledger address?
You probably can't. So this is a question should go to parity because, so it depends whether Ledger can support the crowd loan module like that just been updated to the Kusama chain. So far, the message we got is it's not supported.
Yep. Okay, so does the Mandala testnet version, so what I just sent out at apps.acala.network, they're asking if that is what Karura will look like when it goes live, or will there be a new version?
I'm not telling you. Well, I think you will know once we launch the app, right? So it's not going to be worse than what you see now.
All right. And all participants in the crowdfunding get KAR. I think you already answered that. Yes. Once Acala is up, will KAR have less significance? Will Acala and Karura be competitors? I can probably take that one. The way we look at Acala and Karura are basically two DeFi platforms that are serving the DeFi demand of two different communities and two different platforms. So Kusama and Polkadot are both major networks now and both have pretty distinct communities. So we've built Karura and we're launching Karura for all of you who are in the Kusama community. And that will continue to run in parallel to Acala and Polkadot. And as I mentioned in the very beginning, these will be bridged. So everything will be kind of interacting together. There'll be liquidity and users, I'm sure, passing between networks. So they're definitely not competitors. One analogy is we look at it like a business would evaluate opening up a branch in two different countries. So Bank of America in the US and Bank of America in Germany are not competing with each other. They're just serving two different markets. Question in Mandarin, maybe one of you can take that.
Yeah. It is. The question is, when can we start to participate in the crowd loan? I guess. Well, whenever it's ready, right? So we don't have a definitive date yet. We just know it's getting really, really close. But whenever it's ready, yep. So
first date of the auction. So no, we don't know any dates. So for the crowd loan, keep an eye out on our channels, and then for anything like auction related and crowd loan related, watch the Kusama channel. That would probably be the best. That's probably where it's going to be coming from. Why should people join Karura crowd loan instead of waiting for Polkadot, I think they're saying, which is only 1 week after.
If you got KSM, you should join, right? And then if you want to see Polkadot being successful, you should also support Kusama, because everything here is trying to make sure Polkadot is going to be super, super successful, right? Those are my 2 points.
Launch price, we of course won't comment on that. So the LKSM you get from staking, when trading those, you forfeit the receipt to your locked KSM, right? Does the value of one LKSM correspond to that of one KSM?
I think one liquid KSM would be the yield value token for your stake asset. So if you trade away your liquid KSM, you're essentially trading out the underlying KSM. So, but the value of a liquid KSM, because it's yield value, you accrue over time, and it should earn the average staking reward of the Kusama network. So you will appreciate in value over time.
Yeah, so that's it for the Slido questions. Thanks for those of you who submitted there. This is actually something that I didn't realize until I started working on the team, but LKSM, when you're holding LKSM and your wallet on Karura, the number will actually go up because it's reflecting the underlying KSM.
Yes.
If you use Coinbase, you know how staking, it's always showing you that it's earning returns on that balance. It'll be the same kind of concept with LKSM. It'll consistently be showing you the staking returns being kind of accrued by that LKSM. Okay, so now 51 on here. So the most upvoted.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I think this is the most upvoted question is an awesome question to ask. It actually, can you advise why it's a better option to support a crowdloan instead of a staking KSM and getting 12%? And just buying KA. I think this is like two questions in combined, right? So why should you support the crowdloan and instead of buying the KAR, or why should you support the crowdloan instead of like you can earn 12% on the KSM staking? I think the very first question was like, why should you participate in crowdloan instead of just buying KAR when it's get listed? Is that because it's a trustless way to participate? More importantly, it's a lossless way to participate. So the process of supporting a crowdloan is very different from a process of like supporting an ICO, where you trade away something that might be valuable to something that might have a lot more risk. So to launch the Karura network, I think this is the new product. One of the best way to launch a network is that you stake. And if Karura turn out to be super successful, well, we're fully convinced that it will be, then you get exposure on the Karura network without actually giving out your KSM. You support the network by donating security to the network, but not your token. I think this is very important. The other question regarding like why should you support the crowdloan while you can earn 12% on the KSM return? Well, supporting the crowdloan, I think the strategy of supporting the crowdloan, according to the Kusama's paper or tokenomic paper, is that there's 30% of the Kusama that meant to be staked on Parachain, and to achieve the most optimal deployment of KSM, you need to start to consider how you make the KSM network a better place by doing. And the one way you can help to make the Kusama network a better place is by supporting meaningful projects like us, like the Karura, that bring real utility, real value to the token holders, to the communities, that can provide a positive feedback back into the Kusama ecosystem. So it's like a new paradigm. Like you're supporting the mall, you're also supporting a shop inside the mall, and ultimately they create a very positive feedback and turn into something like an economic special district in the blockchain space. So I think that's my feeling of like why you should support. It's safe to participate, it's trustless, and it's also setting a new product.
I'll add my 10 cents. And also everything we said here is not financial advice, and you should make your own judgment, obviously. I actually think all of those ways are great ways to get involved, right? There's a reason why each one of them exists. They might suit your individual circumstances and whatever you want to do. And also, it's also important to understand the economy of KSM. Similarly, economy of DOT, because for the optimum KSM economy, 50% of the KSM is meant for staking, and then about 20-30% is meant for bonding parachains. Without parachains, Kusama or Polkadot is not successful, because that is the end goal, is to have an internet of blockchains, right? So algorithmically, it's actually done on chain. There's an optimum value being set for how many KSM is being allocated for staking. If you go over that number, you will realize the staking yield is going down. Right now, it's very high because on Kusama, except for staking, there's nothing else is going on. So the number is very high. It's probably above 75% or something like that. But I think Gavin put in a automatic setting on the Kusama chain, where as soon as the Parachain start bonding starts, the number is going to readjust to be lower. So you will start to see 75% going down to 60%. If there are still 80% of the KSM being staked, you will see your reward going down, right? And then, without permission, without, I'm telling you why, everyone will start moving to the right direction of the of where the market should be, for that. So, and then So 50% for staking, 30% for bonding, and then the rest of it is just liquid for spending, right? So you will realize the liquid KSM is very little. So it's like 10-20% is liquid that you can transfer. And that's why it's very important that you have products like liquid KSM where you can, stake and also have liquidity of your KSM. Then you can do whatever you want on the network without compromising the security, right? So I think that is very important consideration when you make your judgment how you allocate your KSM. And the second point is also you have to think not KSM versus Karura or versus some other chains. You have to think Kusama is the entire system, is the relay chain plus Parachain. If you hold KSM, you should think if this whole ecosystem, more Parachain, more useful Parachain, becomes more prominent in the market. That is where the whole ecosystem goes upwards, like trickle up. So if you think in that sort of mindset, that intrinsically you want to help any good teams or teams you like to be successful, right? So you want to probably not go all in, but allocate some of your KSM to support them. So so that would be my 10 cents.
Cool. Good question. So we've got, let's try to keep it to 13 minutes. We can maybe go slightly over if we need to. Exchanges, I'm not going to answer that. People can list as they want. How many projects are competing for the same Parachain slots as Karura? What are the chances of securing the slot in the first attempt?
Yeah, I don't think anyone can be guaranteed or be sure to win the very first Parachain slot. So I would not to comment on the chance of securing the very first slot. I mean, that's why we're running campaign. That's why we're asking all the community help to bootstrap Karura. We are in a very, very good position. But I mean, I will stop. I wouldn't comment too much on the chance of who's gonna win the very first slot. There are quite a number of projects that will be running Parachain auctions, right? So I think there's one very interesting website. There's like a racehorse happening somewhere in the website that can tell you. There's actually a prediction market that tell you that people can participate to guess who is going to win the very first slot auctions. So yeah, if you check over the crypto space, there's many projects. There's a number of projects that they are ready. They are semi-ready for the very first project, and they are planned to run for the very first Parachain set of auctions. For us, I would say that we are fully prepared. We are in terms of like the product readiness, in terms of the security audit, in terms of the team readiness. We are already fully prepared, and we could go whenever the alarm is sound and the Parachain auction starts. So yeah, So those is my thoughts on like who's going to win. I mean, I'm not going to comment this. I'm not going to comment on too much of the chances, but maybe do a little bit of fighting on the very fun horse racing game on Twitter.
Yeah, and in terms of how many, we don't know. It's just a matter of waiting until the day the crowd loans and the auctions start. And from what I understand, you could even have an anonymous person in there with a single account trying to compete for a slot. So we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yep.
Is there a minimum? So what's the minimum for us to win the auction?
We can talk about the extreme here, right? So if Kusama goes live and there's only one Parachain going for the auction and there's only one KSM stake in that Parachain, that's the minimum amount that you need to win for the Parachain auction. So there's like, and that's not going to happen, right? It's all according to the market's response, all according to the expectation of the different projects. So especially on the very first Parachain auction, no one knows what's the minimum amount of KSM needed to secure Parachain auction. But if you look at the Polkadot's or if you look at the Kusama's token economic paper, around 30% of the total supply on Kusama or on Polkadot is meant to be staked in Parachain in the 100 Parachains. Both network has a design of 100 Parachain slots, and 30% of total supply meant to be spread across all these 100 Parachains. So if you do the numbers, once the market reach to an saturated status, you can say maybe average one Parachain will get, I don't know, 0.3%, something like that. But the very first few auctions going to be quite different. So the answer is that we don't know until we win the auction.
Okay. How will crowd loans work via Kraken? We can't really speak for Kraken, so I would ask them. What happens if all the funding in the crowd loan isn't needed in the auction? Just so the way the auctions work, if whoever wins the auction, their max bid will be the amount in their crowd loan. So everything contributed to the crowd loan will go and be locked in Kusama and go to that Parachain team. So there won't be like a return process for an overage.
Yeah, I think there's additional comment. We need to make it clear that like everyone participate in the crowd loan will get rewards. So the actual crowd loan happens like you start contributing to the crowd loan, and then once the auction starts, the crowd loan amount will increase, and there's it's like increasing bid for the auction. And because it's a candle auction, it could stop anytime. But until you find out who is the winner, you can still contribute in the Kusama this last 2 days. But regardless of like what's the winning amount, the reward that will be distributing is according to the total contribution amount into the crowd loan module. So it's less important about the winning amount. It's more of like how much total contribution to the crowd loan, and everyone that contribute to the crowd loan, we got reward.
Okay. Interesting question. So what is the expected time frame between Karura winning an auction and being able to loan, I think they mean like take out a loan with LKSM as collateral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for that again, there's no time. You should just read the roadmap because one protocol has to be enabled before another one, and also there's bootstrap liquidity. So it's when it's ready. So of course, it's to our own interest to make it available to everyone as soon as we can. So.
Yeah, and the actual roadmap is like published live. Everyone can see, and it's also interactive. If you click on each roadmap milestone, there's also tags and subcategory inside those. So it's like very similar to how Polkadot launched the network with a set of milestone and with a set of like tasks inside each milestone. You can actually see, and once we check all the boxes, you have a sense of like when this is coming.
Okay, this is another good one. Besides the network that they live on, what's the difference between Acala and Karura? Once both are live, why would I use one over the other?
Yeah, I think like Polkadot and Kusama are very two distinctive network. I mean, they are sister network. They share the same gene, but they have evolved and become like real sisters. Like they might look the same, but the community in different network are different, are slightly different. So I mean, for Karura, it will be always serving the Kusama community. For Acala, it will be always serving the Polkadot community. On Kusama, because it's culture, its feeling, it has this vibrant and wild feeling. The governance or the goal of the Karura network might be more slightly into more of like wild stuff, fun stuff. I can hint about maybe there will be some sort of gamification that we might want to add to Karura if the governance allows, if the token holder allows. But ultimately, I think they will evolve into two very distinctive network with a different set of token holders, with a different set of community members, but it will share the same gene, right? So, and it also will serve as the canary network for Acala.
Will Karura renew the lease, and will crowdloaners be able to roll over their KSM into the next lease? These are all really impressive questions.
Well, I think this is an extremely good question. So definitely, once Karura is up, we would the plan is to commit it and make sure it will substand and maybe turn into an infinite state that it can substand and run on itself forever. So in the token design, in the design of Acala and Karura, there is a decentralized sovereign wealth fund. At some stage, that sovereign wealth fund will accrue enough KSM to support itself and reach a form of like self-sufficient. But if within 1 year another auction is still needed to get additional KSM to secure the slot, and definitely the network will go to a release auction. The release auction is or the renew auction is at this stage is still in the very draft planning phase. But what I understand is that it will be wise to start another auction slightly early before the current auction ends. Because you can then ensure the seamless transition between two auction periods. You definitely do not want your current the network to go down for like 2 weeks for the auction and then go up again. So it will be wise to bid for an auction slightly ahead. So at this stage, if another auction is needed, we will plan that early, and it will happen while the network will be still running. And because with the saturation and with the maturity of the network, the subsequent auction might be much more affordable and much easier to handle than the first few chaotic auctions. So yeah, we're definitely going to renew the lease, and at this stage it's unclear that if you can roll over your KSM or not. But we'll definitely run the auction according to the current paper design. We'll definitely run the auction alongside when the network was live.
And just linking a product there. We have planned a Parachain KSM, a P KSM, and also P dot, so that you can. So it's basically a tokenized, a trustless tokenized version of your KSM that's been bonded for a Parachain, right? So you can already imagine how useful that would be in a similar realm of liquid KSM, right? The only reason we couldn't do it right now, I know someone else is probably trying out this idea. The only reason we couldn't do it and don't want to do it right now is you have to have the first Parachain launch to make it trustless. Otherwise, you are putting your money in someone else's account, and then it loses the whole point of a trustless crowdloan, right? So we could have like get all your money into a honeypot, into a multi-sig, and then issue you some superficial token, and then make it feel like it's liquid. But that is not the whole point of a trustless crowdloan. So we are waiting for Karura to finish, to get its first slot, and then we can launch this product. So the subsequent Parachain auctions, you guys can actually go through this trustless process to mint P dot or PKSM that can be used in any of those DeFi products, while you're also supporting a Parachain, right? So yeah, that's a bit of alpha there for you guys.
All right, we've got 1 minute. Do you guys have like 10 more minutes, Bette and Ruitao, to run through as many more? All right, everybody on the line, like, of course, if you've got a meeting or have to go, thanks for joining. We're going to go about 10 more minutes and run through these questions and then wrap it up. So listing price of KAR, skipping that. Very exciting news about the partnership with Current. Will you be going into more detail about what this means for Acala, and is Karura involved? I'll let Bette take that.
Oh, I mean, thanks for following Acala's news. Yeah, that's a very exciting collaboration there. But of course, I'll encourage you to go to the Polkadot Decoded while we actually review more details there instead of now. But it is very super exciting.
Cool. Story behind Karura and Acala, we already answered that. Another good question. Will the vested KAR token, or I think they mean the vesting ones, the ones that are still locked, be eligible to use for liquidity mining?
I I think the current design is that once the network is live, 30% of the KAR token that you want is eligible to receive are going to liquid from day one, and obviously those could be used in liquidity mining and no problem. For the vested KAR token, at this stage, I think it could be used for governance. At some stage, it could be used for electing collector, a collator of the network. But since it's illiquid and it's intransferable, what we come up with is what we call liquidity mining. I don't think it's going to be possible for a vested token to participate in the actual liquidity mining program. But there's definitely additional way to earn rewards. For example, we will be probably roll out the collator program once the network's other protocol being live, and that those token can be used to participate in the collector election. The governance process will also turn into play once the network is live and all the protocols enabled. Those vested tokens can participate in the governance.
So they're asking, do they have to be in Polkadot.js or can they participate from Kraken? We entered that Kraken will be an option. How can people in the community become more personally involved with Karura? Is there an ambassador program, community organizers? So great question. Robin, who's in the chat, has been doing a great job building and kicking off our ambassador program. And we've got some ambassadors on the call today. So definitely apply. One thing to just keep in mind, we have like hundreds of people that have applied. So we're trying to work through the list as much as we can. We try to keep it very personal. We're doing kind of group onboarding calls with everyone. So just apply. We'll get through the list as quickly as we can. Besides that, there's plenty of ways to just get involved in terms of helping kind of spread the message, whether it's on social media or being active in our Discord. But if you really want to get involved, reach out to Robin or me.
Just add to that, like very soon, the platform is going to be launched, and also there are a variety of DeFi products on it as well. I think many of you, you are users. You probably also write bots, write programs. So those are, various ways that you can actually, use the product and participate. And going forward, many of adding new collaterals, adding new product sets, various different risk assessments is going to be open up to more people, who actually care and use the product to actually participate in those discussions, and then help steer the direction of, future where Karura and also Acala goes. So, yeah.
Great. Next question: can you participate in the crowd loan without identity or email?
I think the purpose of the registration is just to make sure that you get notified when the crowd loan starts. And so I think that's one of the main purpose of the registration. To participate in the crowd loan is actually trustless. We will recommend use our website to participate, but there's also other revenue. You can interact directly with the blockchain to participate. So and I think what more information will be released once we're getting close to the crowd loan. But what I can say at this stage is that it's going to be a true trustless and permissionless setup for participating the crowd loan.
You don't need to register to participate. The registration is more for your own benefit, so that we can notify you when we know, and then so you know, right? Otherwise, so you might wake up and it's like missed the boat.
So if you're a nerd, you can actually write a command line script now and then keep monitoring. And have the participation automatically.
Yeah, and even on the day of the crowd loan, there will be an email box, but that's optional, so don't worry about that. Does it have a personal hard cap? No.
No.
Can you?
It's Karura. No promise.
Expect chaos.
Oh, it just shifted. Can you guys see that question?
No. Which one?
So how would it work if, say, 5 million KSM got crowdloaned to Karura? How could you have, oh, this is what Bette already answered. So we would basically pull from another portion of our reward reserves and move that over to this so we could fulfill that 12-to-1 ratio. Can you tell me if there will be any additional private token sale or need to wait for a public sale?
I think participating in crowdloan is already a way to get exposure in the network, and it's also a trustless way, permissionless way to participate in the network. There might be build events similar in the future, but I mean the best way to stay updated and stay tuned on the project is to subscribe to our newsletter, and you will be the very first one to know when we will have some campaign or some promotional event or whatever.
Cool. Is there a maximum that KR? Bette answered that. The answer is yes. It'll be on chain the day that the crowdloan starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is your estimate on chances of winning the first auction?
I think the estimation is on your side, guys. If you put in your best effort, and if you tell your friends to put in the best effort, and then you tell everybody put in the best effort, then that's the best show we can get. I think there's no promises, right? We can only do our best. So the team, hasn't slept very much in the last few days, just trying to get prepared. So technically we're all ready, but the next thing is like to you guys, right? Like if we all put in our best effort, that's how we probably win and actually launch, right? So up to you.
Yeah. Give us in the chat your percentage chance you think we have. All right. After the initial period, projects leave Kusama and move to Polkadot. No, I covered that already. Both Kusama and Polkadot will be running in parallel.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's up to individual projects' choice to decide what they want to do with their own project. Some project might born in Kusama and then later on move to Polkadot. Some project might decide to stay in Kusama. In our cases, we are committed to have two network running, one in Kusama to serve the Kusama community, one in Polkadot to serve the Polkadot community.
Yeah, we have to be there, right? Regardless, how similar or different they are, they both need a stable coin. They both need KSM and DOT to be liquid, right? So we have to be there to serve the community at the very bare minimum. And also, Kusama might have NFT community that which can potentially be used in some of those DeFi products that we have, and that could probably just sprout into a very different creative community there for Karura as well. So so the future is relatively unknown and exciting.
Will the cooperation between ShadowX and Karura to use Bitcoin in the Kusama ecosystem?
Yeah, I think if it's a different parachain, then we've been pushing this very hard for composable with Karura and also Acala. So all the parachains shall be able to send values to each other, and then in the later stage also be able to compose in terms of their chain state, right? So then that I think that's where the next level of composability will be, creating new apps that cross chain. So hopefully following that trend, more and more parachains can be composable with Acala and also Karura, and then the future will be bright. So yeah.
Okay, let's do one more. So they're asking if we can describe the process for staking KSM once the crowdloan starts, and maybe they mean also like staking KSM through Karura for LKSM.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you can already experience that today by going to our testnets, apps.acala.network. So you can apply for some test token on the faucet, and then start to experience how easy it is to actually stake KSM or stake dots through Acala. It's as simple as like swapping or like depositing one KSM into the pool, and it will be automatically receiving the liquid KSM, liquid dots. I stake myself in a number of ways. I stake through by participation through Polkadot.js in a trustless way. I also have staked through Kraken. But so far, I mean, I might be biased, but I think the most easier way for me to stake is that when Karura goes up, it'll be just one simple transaction, and then it will be staked.
Cool. All right, it's 11 after, so we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks everyone. There were, I think, yeah, there's over 1,000 people signed up, so this has been amazing. I think there's also tonight, there's a clubhouse for those of you. They're doing another kind of pre-Polkadot decoded thing, so if you want to join that. But thanks a lot. This has been a lot of fun for us. You guys had amazing questions. You guys have clearly done your research. We couldn't be more excited to get this thing kicked off. We're just as anxious as you guys are to find out what day this is going to start. We have calls every night at 10 p.m. my time to talk about what happened the last day. So we're very, very close. Just keep being patient just a little bit longer. We're almost there. With that, thanks for the support. We'll be in touch with you guys soon on all the next steps.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.